Hello everybody, I'm welcome back to another video. This video I shouldn't say finally, but we are going to be covering Rapid Sugar Urshifu VMAX in post-rotation format. This is going to be just a regular build with Inteleon. Yeah, people are saying that this is going to be the BDAF post-rotation, so figured I would go ahead and cover it. Personally, I do not think it's the BDAF. I think Shadow Rider is a BDAF. It can tech for everything, it can beat everything. It has the Urshifu has a pretty abysmal Shadow Rider matchup if the Shadow Rider player plays correctly. So I guess I will go over that a little bit later in the video of how you can beat Urshifu with Shadow Rider almost 100% of the time, and just Urshifu's win condition against Psychic decks in general. So starting off with Rapid Sugar Urshifu VMAX, this is 100% on a new card. It's been out for a long time, actually, probably like 4 months, maybe 4 months. Maybe even longer. But yeah, it's not a new card. Gale Thrust, VMAX Rapid Flow, but they're still as powerful as they've ever been. But more importantly, this is the post-rotation formula, which means Mew with Bench Berry is not a threat to Urshifu, which means Urshifu can just come along and VMAX Rapid Flow anything it wants, which is very, very powerful. Just not having anything to deal with, just saying, okay, I'm always going to be hitting your bench no matter what, which is great for both tempo and just for taking prizes super, super quickly. So we're running 3 copies of the Rapid Sugar Urshifu VMAX, and then of course 4 copies of Rapid Sugar Urshifu V as well. So the V is not too much to really talk about. It's Strafe and 100 Furious Blows for 150, but it's not that big of a deal. I guess it can be used going around Zamazenta, but the V is not the way the card. It's really just here to evolve the VMAX. Has some niche purposes, but other than that, yeah, I'm just here to go up into that VMAX. I mentioned that this was an Inteleon engine, so we are running 4 copies of Rapid Strike Sobble. Rapid Strike Sobble is really, really good in this deck just because Keep Calling almost guarantees you're going to be getting out your Urshifu every single game because almost all the time, there's a very, very high probability chance you're starting with your Urshifu, and there's a very, very high probability chance that you're starting with your Sobble other than your Urshifu. And your Sobble can just go ahead and get Urshifu, but you might be saying, why are you going to give up a prize? It's not very great, but we do play some cards that can really give us an advantage if we are going to be going behind on prices. And this is post-rotation, so do not dislike the video and say that Martial Arts Dojo Karate Belt format. We are not playing those. I'm talking about a different card. So just wait until a little bit later to figure out what that card is. So we have 4 copies for Rapid Strike Sobble, and of course 4 copies of Drizzle, which has the amazing Shady Dealings ability. When you evolve it, you get a search deck for a trainer card, put it in your hands. So, yeah, 4 Drizzle, and then we're also running, of course, the Inteleons. I should mention this Drizzle is mainly who we're going to be getting out. Transformer deck is going to be how we're getting switches, it's going to be how we're getting our boss. It's just really, really good, really good. And then to aid our Urshifu's damage, we have 3 copies of the Inteleon with Quick Shooting, which has the ability that once on your turn, you can just put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. So this is really, really great with combination of both Gale Thrust and VMAX Rapid Flow. If you're using this with Gale Thrust, that means Gale Thrust can consistently 2-shot VMAXs, which is insane for just 1 energy. You get a 2-shot of VMAX. But if you're using this with VMAX Rapid Flow, it can help get math on the benched Pokemon. We do also have ways to increase damage to the benched Pokemon, so we can really be hitting a lot of damage on the bench. If we have, just our Telescopic Type, Simeon, a couple of Inteleons out, we're going to be sniping 220 to the bench with VMAX Rapid Flow to one of our opponent's bench, 220, 180 to the other. But yeah, just Inteleon is a crazy, crazy card, especially in this deck. But because we're running the Inteleon engine, we might as well just play 1 copy of the other Inteleon, the original Inteleon with Shady Dealing. When you evolve it, get 2 trainer cards instead of 1. Drizzle only searches out 1 trainer card. So, yep, a 3-1 split of the Inteleons. And we also have a couple 1 of Pokemon. We have 1 copy of Simeon, which has been out for a little while since Chilling Reign, and has Throwing Coach, that your Rapid Strike Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's bench Pokemon V and Pokemon GX. Basically, once on your bench, it is a telescopic sight for your Rapid Strike Pokemon, which is really, really great. The only Rapid Strike Pokemon we have in this deck that actually does damage to bench Pokemon is Urshifu, but even just playing that one, just to buff your Urshifu just a little bit is going to be great. We have 1 copy of the new Metasham V. This is our first new card in the deck. Medicham V has the Yoga Loop attack for 2 colorless energy, and since it is a Rapid Strike Pokemon, wrong corner, Rapid Strike Pokemon up there, that means we can just fulfill that 2 colorless energy cost with a single Rapid Strike energy, so a single energy attack, which is great, but the attack is very, very powerful, especially in this deck with multiple Inteleons. Yoga Loop for 2 colorless energy, you get to put 2 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon, and if that Pokemon is knocked out by the damage from that attack, then you get to take an extra turn. So it's going to be really, really good for tempo. Say you don't get out an Inteleon, in a game, but you double Gale Thrust something with Urshifu. Well, here comes in Medicham and take a KO on that, no matter where it is on the field, and you get to take another turn to try and recover from not setting up your Inteleons. So Yoga Loop, yeah, really, really good. Not only can it take another turn, but it can also be used to take another turn and just get more damage on the field with Inteleon. I will admit, this Medicham V is a lot better with Mew in the format, so if you're playing some Pog Championship format, definitely play Medicham just because it's a lot better with Mew, because Mew only has 60 HP, which means you can get 1 or 2 Inteleons out, and then Yoga Loop can just knock out the Mew. And not only does it give yourself an extra turn, but it also knocks out a Mew, meaning that your Urshifu will be able to hit the bench after that Yoga Loop. So Medicham V is a lot better with Mew in the format, but nonetheless, it is still a very, very good card without Mew in the format, just as a 1-up tech you can get out. And our final Pokemon it's going to be seen a little weird, but it's Metagross V. This might seem just a little bit weird, but let me explain. Now, Metagross V is also a Rapid Strike Pokemon, so we can use Rapid Strike Energy, stuff like that with it. The main reason it is here is because it is Metal type, and Metal type post-rotation is huge, because Ice Rider Calyrex is a insanely good card, post-rotation, insanely good deck, post-rotation. And guess what? Little Metagross here has the Metal type, which means it's going to be hitting weakness on the Ice Rider Calyrex. Combination with the Raihan, which is the card that I mentioned earlier for like comebacks after your Solve gets knocked out. You can just get a surprise Metagross out, and if your opponent has not discarded any of their energy, Synchro Hammer is going to be hitting for 300. In combination with a couple Inteleon pings, or a Inteleon ping, that's going to be getting an easy 1 at KO just out of nowhere. So really, really good. If your opponent does not know your list, does not know you're playing this Metagross V, it can be great. If they do know you're playing it, well, it's also fine, because they're going to be terrified of this Metagross. It's going to be like, oh my gosh, they could spring Metagross at me at any moment. I take a knockout. So they're going to be constantly discarding their energy, just to make sure that they don't get hit in the face by this Metagross, which means that you're going to force them to play Melanie every single turn. And therefore they can't boss's orders, which is going to be huge for you, keeping your Drizzles and Inteleons and stuff like that safe, or pinging your opponent's Inteleons, taking knockouts on them with Team Rapid Flow. So the Metagross, it's experimental. I'm trying it out for now, but it seems to have worked out pretty okay. So if you guys want to go ahead and try the Metagross, it's worth trying out. Now, of course, it does have metal in the attack cost. It does cost 1 metal, 1 colorless. But we do play 2 copies of energy that can count for metal energy, so not that big of a deal. So that's it for the Pokemon. In terms of supporter cards, we're running 4 research. So pretty standard for this. 4 research, 2 Marnie, and then 2 copies of Boss's Orders. So actually, you don't need to play as many Boss's Orders, because we have Drizzle and Shady Dealing with Inteleon to go ahead and search them out, which is great. So we don't need to play as many of them, and since we're hitting the bench, we don't need to play as many Boss's Orders to just hit. A lot of decks, they need to play Boss's Orders. They want to hit something on the bench. Well, Urshifu over here could just be an extra Rapid Flow it. So Boss is not as huge as an asset in this deck as it is in other decks. We do have 4 one-up supporters. One of them is 1 copy of Birdkeeper. It can be nice for just switching and drawing a couple extra cards. 1 copy of Cheryl. Cheryl is a very, very good card for rotation, especially against Ice Rider. So you can see we're kind of teching for Ice Rider, I guess, with the Metagross and the Shell, but can just heal the damage. And since your Urshifu attacks full energy and it discards its own energy, Shell usually won't impact your Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX too much, which is great for you. Raihan, this is the card that I talked about. It's a supporter card that says you can only play this card if one of your Pokemon was knocked out by one of your opponent's Pokemon last turn, and if it was, Then you get to attach a basic energy card for your discard pile to one of your Pokemon, and search your deck for any one card you want. So the accelerating energy here for Urshifu is huge, because it kind of gets rid of the gap that we have in our deck when Karate Belt rotates. Karate Belt was a great card for this deck because it could allow you to GMAX Rapid Flow 2 turns, two turns back to back. Right here can let you do that, except it's a little bit more annoying because it's a porter. It's not an item card. It's not a tool card, so you have to have it just right time. You can't discard it. So it's definitely a lot worse than Karate Belt, but it can search for any card, so it does the job, and it can be used with a lot of other things other than Urshifu, like I mentioned, the Metagross and the Metachamp V. We have one last supporter, which is one copy of Phoebe, Zamazenta, straight Zamazenta decks, quad Zamazenta decks. People are theorizing that, which is a little bit scary for these big VMAX decks that really rely on their VMAX. So Phoebe is going to be great for you. I mean, we also have the Metagross V, the Metachamp V, and just our regular Obstagoon Vs, plus Inteleon pings to deal with Zamazentas, but it can be a little difficult, just that last push you need to win the straight Zamazenta matchup. So one copy of Phoebe is here for that. Stadium cards, 2 copies of Tower of Waters, goes about Rapid Strike, and it can just be some air balloons, and we need a stadium counter. Just in general in our deck. We don't play any Rulebox Pokemon ourselves, so if you want to play some Path to the Peaks, you can go right ahead. Maybe just cut one of the Tower of Waters for a Path to the Peak. Doesn't sound too bad, but just going ahead with the double Tower of Waters here. In terms of item cards we're running, for Quick Ball, pretty standard, as well as for Level Ball, also pretty standard for a Drizzile engine deck. So Level Ball, it can search out your Drizzile and Sobbles, which is amazing for getting out the training cards you need, obviously. And then we have to go with Evolution Incense. Now, this is something I would definitely consider bumping up to 3, even maybe even 4. If you want to cut Level Ball for a 3rd Incense, I wouldn't hate it. But we're running 2 of them for now. We're running 2 copies of Switch. Because Urshifu's Gale Thrust does rely on switching, and if we want to, pull off some shell plays, we're going to have some switches in our hand. So, running 2 of those. I've seen lists that play 1. I really don't like one of them, even though they still do play Escape Rope, which we do play. I'll just go ahead and put that down right now. Even though we do play Escape Rope, I still do like the 2 switch. Just having that second one in deck always feels great in case you surprise have to discard it, or you have to switch again. And like I just said, 1 Escape Rope, 1 Energy Search, which has also felt really, really nice. Because it means you can get energy out of the deck with Drizzile, making it more consistent to get rapid flows when you want them. We have 1 copy of Telescopic Sight, which plus our Pissimian plus some Inteleon pings that can really help our G-Max rapid flow reach numbers on the bench. Just the Pissimian and Telescopic Sight, which is not too hard to get out because you have Drizzile to grab out those cards you want. It is really, really easy to hit 182 bench, and that's kind of the deck win condition against Shadow Rider is you just G-Max Rapid Flow 2 Shadow Riders for 150 each and then finish them off with Inteleon pings. So, yeah, 2 G-Max Rapid Flows plus Inteleon pings is supposedly going to work against Shadow Rider, but I've played the Shadow Rider matchup versus this, and if the Shadow Rider plays correctly, it is absolutely hopeless for you. What Shadow Rider has to do is it has to get down a VMAX. It doesn't actually usually want to attack with Alchemy VMAX, just because it discards energy, and it's just a whole hassle, and it's just not a great attacker. You really just want to be able to have a consistent Underworld Door route. Yeah, and a lot of the turn 1 for Shadow Rider will depend if you go second as Shadow Rider. Will really depend on if your opponent gets the energy. If Urshifu gets turn 1 energy, then you can't go Cresselia no matter what, because actually, no, you could go Cresselia, but it is not really good. It's going to really ruin your strategy. But just the regular strategy, I think, for Shadow Rider is to get a VMAX in play, and then 2 other Pokemon, be it Alchemy if you have to, and like 2 other Shadow Rider Vs, because now they're going to want to Rapid Flow your guaranteed VMAX, but they're going to have to choose to Rapid Flow one of the other ones, and the one that they don't Rapid Flow, you can just evolve into a VMAX, and then they've lost that turn. They're going to find some way to get you to VMAX the last one to really help them win the game there. In terms of like the energy and things, if you as Shadow Rider is playing against Urshifu and they get the turn 1 energy, then you can't go Cresselia, because that means they can just go G-Max Rapid Flow, kill Cresselia, and then it hits the V, and then all they have to do is knock out 1 VMAX in that V with another rapid flow, and it will really ruin your strategy. So if you're playing Shadow Rider, just don't go for the Cresselia if they get the Torrent energy. If they do, you're free to go Cresselia. Actually, pretty decent attacker. If they don't VMAX it, you have boss, stuff like that. But yeah, and now back to Urshifu. One copy of Air Balloon to round out our item cards. In terms of energy, we are of course running 4 Rapid Strike energies. One copy of Metal Energy, which might seem a little weird, but then you remember that we do have that Metagross. One copy of Spiral Energy, which also might seem a little bit weird, but then once again you remember that we have our Metagross. And then we have 2 copies of Basic Fighting Energy here to round out the list. That's going to be the Rapid Strike Urshifu list. This deck is very, very strong. We are up against Shadow Rider. I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I think Shadow Rider is BDF just because it has such a good matchup against Urshifu, and it can tech for everything else that it doesn't have a okay matchup against. But yeah, that's it for Rapid Strike Urshifu today. If you guys liked it, don't forget to leave a like. If you guys want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. I do a whole bunch of videos like this one and also stuff on PTCGO. We're looking forward to Evolving Skies coming out tomorrow. Probably going to be doing some Shadow Rider shenanigans with that for a extra video tomorrow. I try to upload every other day, but I think tomorrow, just because Evolving Skies is just coming out on PTCGO, I will do a extra video tomorrow. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. If you guys liked it, I'll see you guys in the next video.